Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to be spending some time on the Pacific Power 360 AFX programmable AC and DC source. During today's video, we'll be using model 360 AFX-2AGC with the PPSC Test Manager software. Keep in mind, as we walk through the system today, we have ours configured with a lot of the different options installed. Some may or may not be available if you're following along with your unit, if you didn't order those in advance. We'll go ahead and we'll start by briefly talking a little bit about the system. Then we'll move on to walking through some of the different connections on the front and the back of the unit. Then finally, we'll go ahead and we'll start it up and we'll take a look at the display briefly and walk through a little bit about the PPSC Test Manager software. The Pacific Power 360 AFX is a 6 kilowatt or 6 kVA programmable AC or DC source. The source can provide either single or three-phase power and provides testing capabilities for a variety of IEC, military, and aerospace requirements. This system has a large frequency range and output voltages as high as 520 volts line to line and 425 volts DC. The 360 AFX is the lowest power unit in the AFX series, which kind of uses 15 kVA building blocks to reach some of those higher power levels. Let's go ahead now and let's start by walking through the front of the system. Here you'll find the front of the 360 AFX. Let's go ahead and let's start from the upper left of the unit and let's work our way right. As we walk through some of the different connections on the front and the back of the unit, there's always the user manual as a reference as well. It's going to talk in more detail about the different connections. First, we have a series of connections, the first of which is going to be our video out. Next to that, we have two USB host ports. And then just to the right of those two USB connections, we have an SD card slot. Below those series of connections, we have our input power off-on switch. Working our way right towards the center of the unit, we have our display and a series of direct menu keys. And then just to the right of that LCD display, we have the soft keys. Next to the display, we have our shuttle. And then just to the right of that, we have a numeric keypad. And then finally, all the way in the upper right corner, we have our output off and on button. Let's go ahead now and let's take a look at the back side of the 360 AFX. Let's go ahead and let's start from the left side of the system and let's work our way right. In the upper left hand corner, there's a series of connections, the first of which is our USB host connection, then our USB device, then our LAN and RS-232. We'll be using the USB connection during today's video to connect to our computer and the control software. Below those series of connections on the left hand side, we have our system interface connectors, and you can see right now those are closed with the adapters. As we work our way right towards the center of the unit, we have our output terminal connectors. In the upper right hand corner, you will see a green connector, and that's the external voltage sense. All the way on the right hand side of the unit, we have our AC power input, and then just below that, we have our ground stud. One thing we did want to mention briefly is the single phase output mode adapter, which you'll see on the right side of the unit. This adapter from Pacific Power allows the unit to be used in single phase mode and is designed to connect to the output on the back side of the 360 AFX unit. While other shorting adapters can be utilized for single phase applications, this one makes it really simple as it's designed to meet the exact connector's output on the back side of the unit. While other shorting adapters can be used, this adapter makes it really easy as it just slides right into the corresponding adapter on the output on the back side of the unit. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the display. There are four menus on the AFX series units that can be utilized from the display. We have Program, Measurements, Transients, Configuration, and System. And you can see we have those all on the left there right now. We currently are in the Program menu. This menu will allow for adjusting of the output power parameters We have our frequency in the top right there, and then the criteria for each associated phase. When in uncoupled mode, each phase can be set individually. We're not going to change any of the criteria today, so we're just going to kind of keep everything as it is. Now let's go ahead and let's select measurement. This menu provides the data associated with the power that's provided. You can see we have our frequency and the voltage, current, and then voltage line to line there. We also have harmonics there on the right as a soft key. Next, we have our transient menu. You can see we have three options: program, setup, and pulse. You can use the display for these capabilities. However, for some of this more complex programming, oftentimes the software is used. Next, we have configuration. You can see we have some different options here regarding the unit generally. These will be particularly important for some applications where the different system settings need to be changed. Finally, we have the system menu, which for most applications won't be used. However, if you are having errors or different faults when you're running the system, these can be viewed here. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at our PPSC Test Manager software. All right, here you'll find the PPSC Test Manager software from Pacific Power. Let's go ahead and let's spend some time going through it briefly. In the upper left-hand corner of the screen, we have our open import, save, and then print. Next to that, we have our read and write settings for the PPSC software. You see those got both a green and blue arrow. And then working our way right, we have our PPSC control and studio buttons. We'll be taking a look at the studio today, so let's go ahead and let's click on that. Let's go ahead and let's connect to our 360 AFX. And let's go ahead and let that load briefly. All right, here you'll find the PPSC Studio and then our PPSC meter on the right. Let's go ahead now and take a little closer look at our PPSC Studio. Taking a look along the top of the PPSC Studio box, we have a series of icons. Those are going to allow you to do different functions within the studio itself. Today we're really going to be concerned with loading a standard. So let's go ahead and go to the Test Manager, which is the kind of center icon right there with the drop down. And if you click that, you should see New, Open, and then a series of standards. If you purchase those from Pacific Power and loaded them into the software already, they should populate there. So let's go ahead and let's just look at 4-17. And then we're interested in single phase today. Let's just stick 24 volts. That's fine. All right, so now here is our test sequence menu. And we're not going to walk through all the details about this today, but you can see we have 4 different tabs at the top: objective, preferences, step value, and then step result. Now taking a look just below that text box, you'll see a blue play button. I'll scroll over right now, right there. And this is going to start the routine. That should just about complete the video today on the Pacific Power 360 AFX. We started the video by talking briefly about the test system. Then we walked through some of the different connections on the front and the back of the unit. Then we moved to the display. And then finally, our PPSC software. We hope this video has been useful, and please keep us in mind if you ever need to rent the Pacific Power 360 AFX.